What's going on, fight fans? This is Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Rob Jarrell, and this is the recap to this past weekend Showtime Championship Boxing that featured Charlo getting a majority decision, if I'm not mistaken, a majority decision against Austin Trout, and Leo Santa Cruz repeating his win over Abner Mares for the featherweight title, the 126 pound title that was at stake. So we're going to start off with the undercard with Charlo versus Austin Trout. This fight was interesting. I told you it was going to be interesting. It was going to be hard fought. And I told you, even though that Charlo wanted to get the knockout, that he would be hard pressed to get the knockout against a guy that's as durable and as wily and as slippery as Austin Trout. And I say that because he has been knocked down. He was knocked down twice in this fight. If I'm not mistaken, it was in the third with the left hand, a left hook, and then again in the ninth for the opening of the ninth where he just caught him on the crown of the head. Both times Trout didn't look super hurt. The one in the ninth, I believe he had to gather himself, but he made it through the round, if I'm not mistaken. But Trout gave a good account of himself. I just think his lack of real power really doesn't make too many guys scared of him. Right now he's 0-2 versus the Charlo brothers. I think he utilized the jab quite well, but so did Charlo. But he was able to slip and stay out of range for Charlo for the most part. Charlo started to time him with the 1-2 and really gave a good account of himself with the left hook. Again, he got the knockdown in the third round with that. But Trout, for several rounds, really outworked Charlo. He's just a difficult guy to figure out. Granted, yes, he lost to Irislan Lara. He lost to both Charlo brothers. And he got knocked out by Hurd, but Hurd was just a lot of pressure by a bigger guy who just walked him down. And the right hand started to find its place for Charlo in the second half of the fight. He rattled Trout several times, but Trout really rallied home in those last few rounds. Had it not been for the knockdowns, this fight would have been closer than we thought. If I'm not mistaken, it was 115-111, 118-108, which I think is just pretty ridiculous. I think 115-111 is probably much more close to what the fight was, maybe even 116-110. The 113-113, you pretty much gave Austin Trout every benefit of the doubt because that was with 2 knockdowns, which means that last judge scored the majority of the rounds for Trout. Which it's pretty interesting, but I wouldn't have said it, but I think the other 2 cards, I think the 115-111 or 116-110 was much more fair than a 118-108 card. So, again, I just think they gave him every benefit of the doubt. And you could have to. Charlo just looked better. He didn't want to press too much. He's been knocking people out more. He's been hitting harder more. But it's interesting to see where he goes from now. I mean, Selesky is a good opponent. We know Jared Hurd is out there, which present a very different clash of styles, which I would be open to seeing. We can see if Kell Brook gets past his opponent. I think if not next weekend, the following weekend. It's within the next few weeks, but he's got a winnable fight against a domestic opponent. But it's interesting. Right now, if you ask me, Charlo is the man at 154. I think his brother will eventually be the man at 160. I think Jamel will probably move up to 160 after about a year or two because he's just really big. So tell us what you think about that. What did you see? Did that southpaw stance really give Charlo, or And also Trout is just that tough of a guy. He only has 5 losses, but they're to his best competition that we've seen. Again, the Charlos, Hurd, I think he had one, Canelo, which was very close. The Charlos, which was very close, and Laura, which he got whitewashed, but he made it to the bell. So tell me what you think. Where did these two guys go from here? And now let's move on to the main event. That was Leo Santa Cruz getting another win against Abner Mares in a fight that was, to me, much different than the last fight. Remember that last fight, the first fight was extremely wild. It was pretty much a brawl from the open and go. I told you they would look to box a little bit more, especially Santa Cruz, being that he has that longer reach. I think he has a much better jab, and I think the 1-2 will find its way home. And you can see that in the middle rounds, especially from the 5th to about the 10th. I think Leo Santa Cruz, again, he put a stamp on it. It was a unanimous decision. The first few rounds, I kind of gave to Mares. I saw things out of Mares that I really liked. Instead of trying to bully and put Leo Santa Cruz against the ropes and smothering his own punches, he opted not to push and clinch with Santa Cruz in that first half of that fight. What he did is he used more movement. He could have thrown in some more feints, but his punches were much straighter. When he got in, he changed levels, moving from side to side and kind of bringing his right hand, when he wasn't throwing it straight, he would bring it out of sight of Santa Cruz over the top. And the way he changed levels, I mean, he did great body work, which both guys always do great body work, but he varied it up. He went to upstairs and downstairs. He would throw maybe 2 or 3 punches upstairs, then come with the right over the top. I think that's what really got him a lot of rounds, or the first few rounds, to him, but he edged him out. Once you started getting into the fight, you saw Leo Santa Cruz starting to utilize that reach, and Abner Mares probably couldn't keep up the normal pace that he did in that first fight. So what he did is he remained on the outside and picked the spots where he would get inside the jab and inside the reach of Leo Santa Cruz, when Santa Cruz wasn't landing that 1-2. Then we get into the championship rounds where I think Mares just really started to work much, much better. He was still in there and kind of grappling, staying on the inside, and will clinch every now and again. But that was to stop the action of Leo Santa Cruz. I thought he made a good account of himself. Again, not trying to bully and smother his punches, but creating enough space inside of Santa Cruz's reach, but not so close where he can't throw punches. So, again, change of levels. I think both guys were hurt. Not seriously, but they were hurt in those last few rounds. And, again, one of the more exciting fights. These guys can make great fights. I expected Leo Santa Cruz to adjust and box a little bit more like he did with Frampton, which that's exactly what he did. He settled down, and he took advantage of Abner Mares not pushing the pace and him not unnecessarily moving the pace. And he would come forward, but he wouldn't rush in. These guys still look great. I like Santa Cruz in this division. I would like to see him or even Abner Mares fight Gary Russell Jr. I think that's just too interesting a fight for both these guys, for all three of these guys in the same division to not have made this fight. I would love to see Abner Mares versus Carl Frampton. I think Frampton can get down to 126. I think he might have had a fight at 130, but I just think he's too small for 130. That will be a very exciting fight. And I actually think Mares will get the better of him because he looks good with Robert Garcia. Santa Cruz is going to keep playing his trade. He's only got 1 loss. That fight with Gary Russell Jr. is there. I think that's a good money fight. I just have no idea where they would put it. Whether they would put it in D.C. or do they put it in California, or do they just opt to say, hey, let's put it in either Texas or Las Vegas. Either way, if it's out west, I think Leo Santa Cruz gets the majority of the crowd. So tell us what you think. Did Santa Cruz prove himself, and who you want to see him next? Did you think Mares won? And where does he go from here? Check out the recap to the Terrence Crawford versus Jeff Horn fight that Hakeem did a few days ago. And again, tell us what you think. Put it in the comment section below. Hit us up on Facebook, Gmail, Instagram, Capital Combat, gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook. You know we have our page. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends so they can subscribe and we can bring you more content going forward. Until next time.
This is round one and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost.